It's time now for our guest interview with Kristina Mand-Lakhiani. I'm going to keep working on this one. And so nice to have you, Kristina. I know that you've been active in the personal transformation space for a while now, and you're co-founder of Mindvalley, which is really a wonderful website. Can you talk a little bit about Mindvalley?
Well, Mindvalley is an education platform, and I've been in business for 18 years now. So we are probably one of the most prominent education platforms in the sphere of personal growth and transformation. And we provide education in the areas which are important for your life, for a happy, fulfilled, extraordinary, meaningful life. But obviously, academic education doesn't give you all this knowledge. So it's anywhere from body and health and nutrition to much more, well, maybe for some people, questionable areas, but let's say more fringe areas, including even energy work or lucid dreaming and things like that. So we provide education in personal growth and transformation. That's what we do.
Well, that's great. I mean, how many different programs do you have on the website? It looks like a lot.
So it's not just a website, it's a full-on education institution, I would call it. So because we have live events, we have huge live events, I mean, long and certification programs and all sorts of levels of education. Currently, we work with maybe about 50 authors, maybe a little less, depends on how you look at that. We have English-speaking authors, we have other languages as well. When we have events, then of course there are many more going through our stage. So pretty much anybody, any big name in personal growth transformation has either worked with us, done an interview with us, or been on our stage.
Yeah, I was going to say Mindvalley is huge. I actually was introduced to it, I would say 5 or 6 years ago, and have taken some of the courses that are on there. And it's just, it's an incredible platform, and the transformation opportunities that you offer for all different types of creative people, I think just are close to none that are offered out there. How did you get involved initially in co-founding Mindvalley? Like, what was your trajectory towards, creating such a platform?
Kenya, thank you so much for kind words about Mindvalley, by the way, and for following us for this year, all these years. I got involved in Mindvalley very by accident. So I can give the pre-story. Basically, I was born in Soviet Union, so a long time ago. And I was brought up in Soviet Union, and that's a very different kind of world. So it's a country where entrepreneurship was illegal, personal growth was frowned upon. So very pragmatical, very skeptical, and very non-entrepreneurial kind of background. And then I got married to Vishen, who is the founder of Mindvalley, the face of Mindvalley in English language. So I moved to New York. He was on a foreign visa. I had no way to work in America. I was not allowed. So nothing better to do. I was helping him to start the business. That's how it started. But it wasn't my it wasn't my dream from childhood, or it wasn't my hobby or anything. I got involved into that by chance, and of course over years it grew on me, and actually it shifted my trajectory into actually taking personal growth as the work of my life now.
So do people really grow? I mean, I think I'm Mr. Number One self-improvement. I'm Mr. Number One planner. I'm Mr. But yeah. When we say grow, what do we mean by grow?
That's a very interesting question. So we do call it personal growth, but generally it's any non-academic education that you require. So anywhere from your health questions, of course, body, nutrition and fitness and so on, relationships. We have had programs on, and still have programs on, let's say, relationships with money. But it also has areas which are more spiritual, for example. So when it comes to personal growth, I think it's a question that every person has to answer themselves, because for different people, the growth and transformation is different. Obviously, we take different academic degrees in universities for a reason, because we are different human beings. We have different callings, different interests. So the same with personal growth. It's such a wide niche. You can't really say that, this is the path for everyone. One thing I do want to say, I actually would like us to move away from self-help or personal kind of personal improvement terminology, because I'm a huge fan of professional help. not self-help. I think it may be a self-motivated search for professional help in the areas where you require that help. But helping yourself is not a good idea, especially if it comes to any important area in life. Like my huge passion in psychology, a lot of people actually suffer from anxiety, from depression, and the idea of actually helping yourself with that kind of problems is not good. So I believe that what we do is not self-help in essence. It's actually finding professionals who can help people who have problems which are not being solved by academic education.
Right. But because you're taking a class and getting more education doesn't necessarily mean you have a problem, right? I mean, it can be aspirational too. I mean, I personally feel like I sort of have my act together, although if Elizabeth, my co-host, were here, she'd vehemently disagree. But I'm still interested in learning new things, and I like to stick my neck out and try different things just because it brings a little bit more excitement to my life, or I gain new skills. But just, if I kind of stopped growing right now, if I stopped doing like that, I'd be fine. We'd have a good family life and everything else. So it's not just...
There are different ways of, I'm sorry for interruption, but there are different ways to approach that kind of question, if you actually were asking a question directly. The thing is that I like the idea of Harvecker. He's most known for his millionaire mind training, but he says whatever doesn't grow is dying. Which in essence, like if you look in biology, it is true. You actually do need to move somewhere. The question is, a philosophical question is any movement kind of growth, or is any kind of growth or transformation, is it all for good? That's not necessarily so, right? Not every experience will make you stronger, will make you better. So that's sure. Another facet of what you were talking about, unfortunately, most people come to personal growth because of big pain. That's unfortunate because, it's like with doctors. People very often come to doctors when it's already so late, it's hard to help. So the same with personal growth. I would wish people actually didn't have to learn how to deal with depression, rather that they were taught emotional, literacy, simple things, how not to fall into depression. And of course, if you are into marketing, you know that any marketing of any sphere is usually built and based on pain. So it's no wonder we actually search for people who are in pain, because that's how marketing works, essentially. But you are absolutely right.
I hope our Passage to Profit listeners are not in pain. We certainly wish them the best. But what you're saying is certainly a type of marketing that people pursue. So,
I'm not talking about any particular marketing. I'm definitely not talking about ourselves, but that's actually in the core of a lot of things that are popular. There is this pain point, whether it's marketing, which is, unfortunately, a lot of marketing is built on triggering the pain points. It's truth for entertainment, actually, for the news. People kind of get triggered by strong emotion. That's why I'm saying, unfortunately, a lot of people search for help when they're in pain, not because of anything else. Yet, I think we should also move from the idea that I'll learn, I'll get education, and then I'll start living. Because that's not how life works. You don't take a shower today, or let's say in January, so for the rest of the year you can be clean. You do it on a daily basis because that's the basic hygiene, physical bodily hygiene. So when it comes to personal growth, I believe that when we stop taking it as something, to prepare for real life and look at it as a lifestyle, then you won't be coming for personal growth out of pain. You will actually do that for a lot of different reasons, out of curiosity, out of desire to actually maybe expand yourself, maybe find deeper meaning in what you're doing. Or there are so many ways why you might want to learn to keep your brain young.
I mean, I think, having a positive desire is healthy. And so maybe the desire is not imminent, like being eaten by a saber-toothed tiger or something, right? That triggers all of these fear emotions. But you still have to have a desire to move on. And whether it's to solve a small pain, maybe my desires are for small pains as opposed to large pains. But it's I think what drives a lot of what we do. Kenya, do you have any questions or comments?
Yeah, I was agreeing with you, Kristina, because I do believe that pain can be purposeful, right? It's always some sort of indicator that something's going on, whether it's something medically or something emotionally. It's really the thing that gets our attention. So I think sometimes we try to avoid getting to that place, but I see your point in, trying to get ahead of that, right? Like not waiting until it's something so prominent or something so painful, and kind of being intentional about just getting ahead of what potentially could become problematic later on. So I totally get where you're going with that. And I also saw that you are an author of a book called Living by Your Own Rules. So I wanted you to tell us a little bit more about what that means. Oh, it's on your shirt.
It's actually an accident that it's on my shirt.
Well, there's never any accidents.
That's okay. You can plug things on Passage to Profit. No problem.
That's that's a program, and I'm moving away from that name into actually talking about being flawsome. I like the word flawsome. It's not my creation, but it's not been claimed, so I'm not sure.
What does it mean? What does the word flawsome mean? I'm not even sure I know what that means.
In line with the beginning of our conversation, I have to say I don't know about the IP rights for the word flawsome yet.
No, I think
so maybe
okay. So, well, you are going to tell us though, because you can't use the word flawsome without telling us.
So my interpretation of the word flawsome is that you can still be awesome with all your flaws, but if you go a little bit deeper into that, is that I do hope that people, regular human beings, learn to love themselves with all their quirks, weirdness, mistakes, imperfections, and not despite them, with them, not despite them, and actually see or find strength in what makes you, you, rather than trying to become something different. So, and it might sound such a weird concept, considering that I'm one of the co-founders of Personal Growth and Transformation company, but it's not controversial, in fact, because we have, a lot of us have an idea that for you to want to grow, you have to have a problem, or for you to want to become better, you have to not be satisfied with what you are right now. But it is actually an illusion. That's not how it works. If you know the simplest thing about, let's say, depression, one of the expressions of depression is where you are so low, you have no motivation, no energy, no interest to do anything. That's when you kind of stop and freeze. So movement is actually our natural movement, and growth and transformation and evolution and change is in our nature. And I believe that you only want to grow and become better when you're actually at peace with yourself. When you're at peace with your current version, that's when you're ready to actually become something different. So another example, one of our students asked, actually, that was a question given to another teacher, but I'll just retell that story. She's a psychotherapist. So the student asked her, but if I think that I'm good enough, then I'm lovable enough, that then I'm good the way I am I not going to lie in bed and be complacent and not want to do anything? And her answer was so sharp. She said, you are lying in bed and doing nothing, not because you think you're good enough, it's because you're afraid that you're not enough. When you believe in yourself, when you love yourself, when you accept yourself, when you really have the faith in you, that's when you find courage to go and challenge yourself and to do something meaningful in life. That's why I don't think there is any controversy. And I do believe that most of the problems that we have with the world, with our environment, with the reality, with politicians, with diseases, they are often the reflection of the problems that we have with ourselves. Once we learn to be at peace with ourselves and accept ourselves with the way we are, flawsome, with our flaws, that's when you come to peace with the world.
Well, I think the word flawsome is quite motivating, inspiring. So I think it's a good word to put out there. And unfortunately, we have to wind down this segment, Kristina, but it's been absolutely fascinating. I really love your insight and perspective on human nature And I'm sure that, the company, the Mindvalley, is just going to continue to prosper and influence people in a positive way. So where can people find out about Mindvalley?
Well, mindvalley.com is where you find about Mindvalley. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, it can't be any simpler than that. You're listening to Passage to Profit with Richard and unfortunately not Elizabeth Gearhart tonight, but we'll be right back after this message.